Time and money.
That's a loaded question. I'm guessing the Murley's answer isn't about mindless scrolling or impulse buys.
You know it. The Murli takes aim at a rather unexpected target, actually. Funerals.
Funerals. That's interesting. How are they connected to wasting money?
Well, think about it. People often spend a ton on funerals. Elaborate caskets, flowers everywhere. But the Murli makes this point once the soul has moved on.
All that extravagance doesn't really matter to the person who's gone.
Exactly. Like, who are we trying to impress? It's a little morbid when you put it that way.
It does make you think, though, about our priorities. Like, are we truly honoring the person, or are we more caught up in appearances?
Right, it's a good reality check. But if funerals aren't the answer, what is? What's the Murli's perspective on what truly matters?
Well, the Murley points to something far more enduring than any earthly spectacle: the eternal nature of the soul.
Okay, so we're going beyond the physical here. Tell me more about how this Murli views the soul.
It uses this really vivid analogy. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. That old skin gets left behind.
Right.
The Murley suggesting our physical bodies are kind of like that shed skin temporary vessels for something much, much greater.
Wow, that's a powerful image. So how does that relate to us, to our souls? What happens when we shed these physical forms, so to speak?
That's where we start to see the contrast between the Murley's perspective and maybe some more traditional views.
Okay, I'm listening.
It suggests that true value doesn't lie in the physical form, but in the soul itself, that eternal essence inside each of us.
So if that's the case, then all our focus on rituals and, well, even just material possessions
Yeah,
could be a little misplaced.
that's exactly the question the Murley wants us to consider.
I'm intrigued. So if the focus shifts from the outward to the inward, from the physical to the soul, how do we even begin to connect with that deeper part of ourselves? What's the Murli's guidance on that? So how do we connect with that deeper part of ourselves? What's the Murli's guidance on that?
Well, it points us to something you've probably heard before, but maybe in a different light, yoga.
Yoga? I think you've got me mistaken for someone who can actually touch their toes.
Haha, I hear you. But in this context, yoga isn't about the poses. It's about something much deeper. A connection, a union with the divine source. The Murli refers to this source as the spiritual father.
So tuning into a different kind of frequency then, one that connects us to something bigger.
Exactly. And the Murli's saying this connection, it isn't something that just happens passively. It takes effort and it takes knowledge.
So no spiritual free lunch then. It's about actively seeking understanding. But how are we supposed to gain this knowledge? Do we enroll in Divine University or something?
Think of it less like formal education and more like an ongoing exploration. The Murli encourages us to seek knowledge from the spiritual father, the ultimate guru.
Hold on, did you just call the spiritual father a guru? It feels a little, I don't know, strange using that word here.
I get it. It's a word we usually associate with a person, a teacher, right? But the Murli's using guru in a broader sense. It's referring to that guiding force that helps us unravel the mysteries of the soul and the universe.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. But how does this knowledge actually help us in our lives?
Well, think about it this way. Remember that question we started with about wasting time and money? What if true knowledge, the kind that comes from connecting with our spiritual core, what if that could help us understand what's truly worth investing in?
I like where you're going with this. So it's not just about accumulating facts, it's about transforming how we live, how we see the world.
Now you're getting it. The Murli emphasizes that true knowledge, it leads to action, to making choices that align with our spiritual understanding. It's about recognizing the temporary nature of the material world and focusing on what truly endures the soul.
We talked about funerals earlier and how our focus might be a little off when it comes to those kinds of rituals. Is this where that idea of impermanence comes into play?
It's all connected. The Murli uses a really fascinating example to illustrate this whole idea of impermanence, the Dilwara temple.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this temple.
Picture this, a temple over 12,250 years old, still standing, a testament to human artistry and devotion. But here's the thing, even something that magnificent, eventually it'll crumble.
Wow, that really puts things in perspective. So the Murli's using this temple, this incredible feat of architecture, to remind us that everything in the material world eventually fades away.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that our time and energy are precious. Are we investing them in things that truly matter? Are we building something that will last, something that nourishes the soul? Or are we just chasing after fleeting pleasures and distractions?
It's like that age-old question, what will your legacy be?
And this Murli, it challenges us to expand our definition of legacy. What if our legacy isn't about what we leave behind in the physical world, but about the spiritual progress we make, the knowledge we gain, the love we share?
That's a really beautiful way to think about it. So we've talked about connecting with our spiritual core, about gaining true knowledge, about the impermanence of the material world. But how do we know if we're actually making progress on this spiritual journey?
That's where the Murli gets really interesting. It introduces this idea of marks.
Marks, like,
Yeah.
are we being graded on our spiritual performance? Is there some cosmic report card I haven't seen yet?
I love that image. But it's less about external evaluation and more about internal growth. Think of it like levels in a video game. Each level requires more skill, more understanding.
Okay, so the more effort we put into connecting with our spiritual side, the higher our level.
You got it. And a key aspect of this effort, according to the Murli, is remembrance.
Remembrance. Okay, break that down for me. What are we supposed to be remembering?
The spiritual father, the source. The Murli stresses that constant remembrance it's crucial for spiritual growth. But it's not just about rote memorization or anything. It's about cultivating a state of awareness, a constant connection to that divine energy.
So it's like carrying that awareness with us throughout the day, no matter what we're doing, whether we're navigating rush hour traffic or enjoying a quiet moment in nature.
Precisely. It's
Mhm.
about infusing our lives with that spiritual consciousness.
This is a lot to unpack. We've covered so much ground. Funerals, temples, snakes shedding their skin, cosmic report cards. Is there a common thread that ties all of these ideas together? This is a lot to unpack. We've covered so much ground. Funerals, temples, snakes shedding their skin, cosmic report cards. Is there a common thread that ties all of these ideas together?
Absolutely. It all comes back to the soul. The Murli is inviting us to see ourselves and the world around us from a completely different perspective. It's about recognizing that true value, well, it doesn't lie in the fleeting things of the material world.
It's in that eternal essence within each of us.
Exactly.
So it's about shifting our focus from the external to the internal, from the temporary to the timeless, from like stressing about our Instagram feeds to cultivating a deeper sense of purpose.
Now you're talking. It's about recognizing that we are not just physical beings, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And that recognition, that shift in perspective, it can change everything.
We started this deep dive with the Murli's question about how we waste time and money. I have a feeling you're going to tell me the answer isn't about clipping coupons or becoming a minimalist.
You're catching on. It's about aligning our actions with our spiritual understanding. It's about investing in our own spiritual growth, in cultivating qualities like love, kindness, compassion.
So instead of buying that fancy car, maybe we invest in our communities or spend time with loved ones or simply cultivate a sense of inner peace.
Exactly. It's about recognizing what truly nourishes the soul, what brings lasting fulfillment.
This Murli is full of thought-provoking ideas, but if there's one thing I want to take away from this deep dive, it's that idea of remembrance. It's so simple, yet so powerful.
It is, isn't it? It's a practice we can weave into every moment of our lives. A silent reminder of who we truly are and what truly matters.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive for today. But before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought from the Murli. Something to ponder as you go about your day. If our true selves are not our physical bodies, but something eternal, something connected to a larger source, how does that change your perspective on life, death, and everything in between?
That's a question worth sitting with for a while. Let it simmer. You might be surprised by the insights that bubble up.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.